Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, we're taking a look here today at Uniswap, and this is compliments of one of my patrons, Lisa. Thank you very much, Lisa, for reaching out. I appreciate you greatly. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research and always take ownership of your own trades. So just bear in mind that my goal here is to help you become more of a effective, self-sufficient trader instead of trying to rely on other people. I will not hype up coins. I will give you the fundamental, the technical analysis without the fundamentals, and just make sure that you have the fundamentals rather of trading, right? So that's the whole purpose here. I do also have a Signal group as well where I share my trades with my community members. So every time I take entry, I let you know. Every time I plan to exit the position, you know well in advance. And obviously, more important, there's take profit targets there too, so you know how to set up your stop losses, etc. I have about an 80% success rate so far, and it's been a fantastic experience the last 2 months. So thanks again to my community members for trusting in me and benefiting of getting a lot of good praise in this. So thanks again. Appreciate you. Moving forward, I have a Telegram community too. Check that out as well. Link in the description below, and other affiliate stuff if you'd like to check that out, of course. But regardless of that fact, why don't we just go ahead and get to the charts? Let's take a look. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here today at Uniswap. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on, because any good trader will look at all the angles before they jump in, right? You never jump into a trade without understanding everything. So let's go ahead and take a look here. First things first is using TradingView, first of all. So I use tradingview.com or desktop application essentially. Works fantastic on mobile, but I can tell you that it's the best thing to happen to trading since whatever happened before that, right? Because it's just really, really good tool. So I recommend the paid version. I have a link in the description below for a free month if you want to check that out. Only recommend that because you can use more than 2 indicators at a time. And it just makes a lot more sense. Instead of having to add and remove them, it gets a bit cumbersome. So I recommend that. Now looking here at Bitcoin, first of all, this is a 4-hour chart. We're going to look at the SMA and EMA lines to make sure we understand big picture. And first of all, with the SMA 50 and 200, prices above both, but we might see the 50 get tested here soon. So just keep that in mind. There's a chance that the price could break below the support level here at about 46,500. Right, but it's been tested twice now and held above. So there's a chance we could stay in this channel between 46.5 upwards of 47,800. Okay, so in the last 24 hours, we've seen the 4-hour chart close 3 times below and 3 times above this in this channel here. So we'll see if there's a breakout soon, but weekends are notorious for selling off just based on the simple fact that people will try to take their profits. It makes sense. And then, of course, the whales will jump back in and start manipulating the market Monday through Friday, right? I hate to put it that way, but that's kind of what happens, right? With these strong legs up and legs down. But regardless of that fact here, we've got major support here. Also keep in mind about 42.5 as well as 44. Yeah, 44. Well, that one's kind of strange. 44,200, but it tested a few times recently. So we got these smaller channels going on right now. But all in all, the only thing else to note really with Bitcoin is that we have a major resistance about 51,000 approximately, and that would be the next major milestone for Bitcoin. All right, but all in all, Bitcoin's in pretty good shape still. I don't think we're going to see it start regressing much. If it does, worst case, probably 44,000 is my guess. Now, at this point here with Ethereum, very much the same exact situation, right? It's just got different numbers involved. We've got 2,900, also a support at 2,400, and then 1,725 down below. And right now, it's kind of working itself into this little channel as well. It did just what Bitcoin did. It broke down below and stayed above. In other words, right about 32.5 is the current support, whereas that 4-hour chart closed twice above that and previously was a major resistance. So I would say that that's kind of the current support. 32.5 is testing it right now. We'll see what happens. But pending Bitcoin doesn't sell off down to below where it's at right now, then we're probably going to see Ethereum stay sideways here for a bit. What's great though is if we do lose this support, we do have the 50 simple moving average working as a support level as well. Right, and that's going to consistently keep driving the price up. At least that is the hope. All right, so moving on to Uniswap. Let's take a look at the 1-day chart, get perspective on the big picture, and work our way down. Now, always look at the 1-day chart first. I know it seems kind of trivial, but if you don't kind of know what's going on, like if you don't look at the lay of the land, it makes no sense to go to a cellular level, right? So that being said, looking at the 1-day chart, we're just going to look at the average true range. So I like to identify April 17th and May 19th. These are just the two major sell-offs from Bitcoin. That's right here. So obviously we saw this decrease here for Uniswap. It was trending approximately 27 to 35. That's its true range before that happened. Then it retraced back down. What's interesting is most, Bitcoin was down 15% at this point, whereas Uniswap jumped up a pretty strong amount in that time. It jumped up about 40% when Bitcoin was going sideways. That's where we kind of all thought it was alt season, like just taking off, because it's like, well, Bitcoin's going down and altcoins are going up. That typical transition from Bitcoin to altcoins. But that obviously went away and disappeared because of the China candle on May 19th. So if you see here, strong decrease. Ever since then, it's kind of been hovering somewhere between 14 and 25, right in that range. But now it's broken that channel, and we're in the upper echelon here. So that being said, Uniswap is at, just say $30 right now. Let's keep it even, say 30. Well, the true range of Uniswap before all this stuff happened was at 26 to 35, right? So basically, that being said, we're in that range right now for Uniswap. So do you foresee it getting much larger? I don't personally, just in the sense of the fact that Bitcoin hasn't surpassed 50,000. So if we get Bitcoin past 50,000, trending towards 60, then yeah, we're going to start seeing some higher highs up around $44. But at this point in time, no, I wouldn't say that we're going to see anything much more from Uniswap again until Bitcoin surpasses 50,000. But if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's doing right now and just every few days increases by 1 to 2,000 like it's been doing, then sure, yeah, Uniswap will continue to progress upwards. But if we get just say some sideways action or some retracement from Bitcoin, then I think Uniswap will also go sideways too. But great news is we're up over the 50 and the 200. The 200 is working as a major support level. So, the price does retrace. It'll likely bounce off of that right around $26, $27 by the time that happens. RSI is up over 70. As you can kind of see here, it keeps kind of hovering above, which isn't terrible. That's actually pretty standard. Hopefully it comes down a little bit lower and then we get more price action. But for now, that's kind of what we're looking at there. We had a major convergence on the 23rd. That's obviously when Bitcoin had surpassed 30,000 there. This is only under for maybe about 24 hours. Looking at the 4-hour chart here, we can see some pretty good growth. Now, I like this. These are good bull runs, right? In other words, you got the up-over pattern. You'll hear me say that a lot if you're new to the channel. You kind of got you got these staircases, right? They're really nice in that sense because it gives the price time to recover without being overextended. Because when you have like those, like those 200 or 300% days in one 24-hour trading period, they're going to retrace 50 to 60% of the time almost all the time. But Uniswap instead is actually doing these small increases followed by short periods of consolidation. These little, I don't know, upside down U patterns or whatever you want to call them. It's working really well. In other words, I like this type of pattern here. So, that being said, I think Uniswap is preparing for another potential breakout. So if you look at this channel here, it's kind of working itself into a bit of a channel. Again, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but generally speaking, when you got the the ascending wedge pattern, it has a tendency of breaking upwards, right? So I think this is just preparing and getting ready to break. It'll probably do one of these and then shoot upwards. Okay. Again, it's not foolproof, but that is kind of what it's telling us here. Right, and what that basically just means is the fact that they're consistently testing this resistance level, which is approximately $30. In fact, why don't we just go ahead and mark that here instead of loosely throwing arbitrary numbers out there. We're looking at $30.50 as a very close approximate. And again, I mean, you can see the support here from the 50 just kind of working its way up. We don't even need to draw this line. It's pretty much telling us for us what's going to happen next. So yeah, I think we are going to see a breakout from Uniswap soon. If it does break out, again, I don't think it's going to hit 45 or 44 for its previous all-time high right away. It might test some more recent support and resistance levels. In fact, why don't we go ahead and see if we can take a look at that here. Support and resistance zones right about. Coincidentally, $30.50 is a previous support. And now it's resistant. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do break through that with a little short squeeze. But all in all, yeah, there's a lot of different channels here. It's hard to pick one out of the hat, but this one does appear. So yeah, $34. So we'll just go ahead and mark 34 on here as well. 34 would be the next major resistance if we break out. So we break out above here, which is more likely than not, just based on the way that wedge patterns tend to form. And I would say 70% of the time in my experience, wedge patterns, ascending wedge patterns like this are usually break upwards instead of down. So if it breaks above to say $30, or sorry, $30.50, then we'll see it likely make a run to $34. So there's a good chance Uniswap will continue. Again, if Bitcoin doesn't sell off 2, 3, 4, 5,000 in the next couple of days, then I think Uniswap's going to take off, right? So that's kind of just the bottom line here for the one-day chart. Let's go ahead and move on. I know we're looking at the 4-hour. RSI is up over 70, under 70, but over 50. This is good news. Basically just means we have this nice little support there at the 50. The MACD, it may converge if it breaks out. Not really anything to really note or worry about. It's not super close, so I don't care about it. Looking at the Ishimoku cloud. On the 1-hour chart, we're still above the cloud. It's working as a support level. So there's a strong indication of the fact that we will still see a breakout in upward fashion. We're probably not going to see much here from TD sequential, just a few resets, but generally speaking, yeah, we're just getting again, in periods of consolidation like this, you will not see that this count up to a 9. It'll constantly reset about 4 or 5. So we don't need to worry much about that too, either with TD sequential, but traditionally, if you're kind of new to TD sequential, it basically gives us indications of market exhaustion, right? So here, let me give you a better example. You can kind of, when you see it count up to a 9, like here, for example, you see it counts 1 up to a 9. That should have retraced and came back down, but instead it just kept going up, right? So that's a continuation there. That does happen sometimes, but generally speaking, when you see a 9 on TD sequential, basically tells us that we have, okay, 9 hours of bullish momentum, and the fact that it will likely retrace, okay? Again, it's not for sure, it's not 100%, but more often than not, again, see here, 1 down to an 8, and then it reset, and it came back up. That was basically telling us that the bears had taken control there, and there's going to be a reversal soon. Anyways, that's how TD sequential works. There's so much more to it, but I just wanted to throw that out there so you understand the general concept if you are new to the channel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 15-minute on the EMA View app notification. This is a notification that I created myself here, and what it does, it really helps us understand, support and resistance levels, but also momentous indicators, right? So this is not a great example of how it works because the price is jumping up and jumping down so frequently that you can't really get great indicators. But let me go back to where things were kind of a little more calm here. I'll give you an idea here. So first of all, if you look at this channel here, you can see the price is under EMA. First of all, that's the EMA 15. That's my primary EMA. A lot of defaults will be 9 and 20. And instead of having 2 indicators at present, I just have the 1 EMA, and it makes much more sense for me. And what this does, basically, when the price is below, you can see it's getting rejected, is driving the price down. So the price goes down. It broke above, yes, for a little bit, but it kept going down. This is a consolidation and then a ramp up, and this is considered a bull run here, right? So generally speaking, when the price is above, considered to be momentous in the direction it's heading, and it's also the inverse as well. So if it's going down, it's considered a bearish trend. That being said, when the price is above, you typically want to consider investing because you know that the bulls are in control, right? The blue line here is the VWAP line, right? That's the volume weighted average price. It's a day trader's tool. It's something I've used for day trading for a long time. It can still be used in conjunction with swing trading because it helps you understand support and resistance levels on the 15-minute chart or lower. So it has to be on a lower time frame, right? You can't use it on the 1 hour or higher because it really makes no sense because it takes a 24-hour period of volume and expresses it as a price continuously. So every 24 hours at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, it'll reset like this right here, 1700. And of course, the same thing back here as well. But in this time frame here, you can kind of see when the price is above, it's considered a support. When the price is below, it's considered a resistance. Okay, so that's a general concept there. So me, when I take entry, I do a check, a triple check. And that's what this notification is for. I provide it to all my patrons, of course, whereas I send all my signals for my entry points to my patrons. And in that sense, what it does is it basically combines all 3 metrics that I look for. So we have the VWAP, right? So the price is above VWAP here. The price is above EMA as well. So not only do we have confirmation that we're above support, but the bulls are also in control. Furthermore, we also have extra icing on the cake, I like to call it, where you got this extra, 30 minutes of confirmation. In other words, why take entry when you have 1 minute of confirmation is heading in the direction you're heading, right? Well, if the bulls take control over 30 minutes, that makes much more sense to me, right? So if I see this yellow indicator, or just more so importantly, 2 green candle bars closing together above EMA and VWAP, it's a strong indication of a buy signal because the likelihood of the price continuing up is higher, right? So you're not trying to just find the bottom or buy the bottom, because here you can also see too that we got lower highs and higher highs. Sorry, higher highs and higher lows. That's what I meant to say. When you see that continuation upwards, plus this combination of EMA and VWAP, I mean, it's just perfect storm. So that would have been it. Again, it's easy to look at this. I get that, right? Because it's like, oh, well, obviously it's there because it happened. But generally speaking, when you get that kind of indication, it's probably going to move in an upward direction. And what you do is you just create a nice little stop loss just below that in case it does retrace on you. Heaven forbid you're out like 0.5 to 1%, but if it works out the way that you want to, you'll get 5 to 10%. Yeah. So again, had you taken entry there just randomly, you could have gotten 13 to 15% depending on your exit point. Right. So they're just little things that I like to look for. Again, I utilize everything you just learned here today in my signal group through my Patreon community. Reference that in the description below, where I basically just send signals to all of my members and let them know, the entry point I'm planning to take, where I'm planning to sell if I get stopped out, and where my profit targets are. I have about an 80% success rate so far, and it's been very good, so feel free to check that out in your own time. Now, at this point, I don't really have much else I like to look at, honestly, because that's really as far as I typically go. I don't bother with the 1 minute chart in most cases because of the simple fact that the 1 minute chart is, it's too much noise, it moves too quickly. Again, if you're trying to scalp and do something quick, which I've done plenty of times before in the past, that's fine, that's okay. But I prefer more of a swing trade / short-term day trade, or sorry, short-term swing trade, outside of day trading. That's more my style. So I like to hold for, maybe 30 days or less, and or more than 24 hours. Sometimes I'll, trade, buy and sell on the same day if the price action is moving fast. You get in and get out, that's fine. But you don't really need the 1 minute chart for the stuff that I look at. Just based on the simple fact that it's, again, if you're not a day trader, don't even bother with it. 15 minutes should be the lowest you go. But this just kind of gives you that extra confirmation that the 4-hour chart, the 1-hour chart, and the 1-day chart that you already looked at is kind of all syncing together. Okay, because you want to have good signals on all time frames in order to feel the most confident. I like to get positive indications in all 4 time frames before I take entry. All right. Again, I'm more of a careful, patient trader. I may not trade all the time, but when I do, I prefer to have that high likelihood of success. All right, so thank you so much for joining me here today. I'll see you in the next video, and take care. Have a good one.